Hi all, hope you're doing great today. I'm back with my another course MB 210 Dynamics 365 Sales Functional Consultant. The course has been divided into different modules, and the module includes a course about an introduction, that is what exactly is Dynamics CRM. And I would like to add few points out in there for the introduction that Dynamics 365 Sales helps salespeople build strong relationship with their customers, act based upon the insights, and close the sales fast. And we can use Dynamics 365 for multiple things, like let's say for tracking of the accounts, the contacts, and to nurture the leads and the prospects to create new opportunities, order, and definitely meeting up the business requirements of gaining more businesses. Dynamics 365 is a collaborative tool which is being used by multiple organizations so as to cover different aspects of sales. That could be making sales call, sales processes, marketing, service management, field service management, and whatnot. In this course, we would be covering in module 2 about the different steps which we need to take up while configuring the organizational and management settings for Dynamics 365. That is configuring your territories, your organizational units, your currencies, etc. out in there. Post that, we would be hitting module 2, which is more from the perspective of creating and managing leads and opportunities in Dynamics 365. In Dynamics 365, we can create lead from multiple sources, which could include your emails, your integrations at times through export or import through Excel files, business card reader, and multiple things. And once the lead has been created, then we nourish or we improvise or we provision more information for that particular lead before reaching out to them with their specific requirement. And once we have reached them, and if the things keeps on going well, then we qualify this lead towards our next step, where that is creation of an opportunity out of it. Now once this opportunity has been created, we would be doing multiple things on the opportunity, and then we would be moving towards module 3, which includes the most important aspect, that is management of the product catalog in there. Definitely each and every organization across the globe sells multiple products, but definitely we all want to manage these products in Dynamics CRM, because that is something which our sales team would be trying to sell to the end user. Like they would be associating these products to your opportunities, and once these products have been associated to your opportunities, then you would be trying to create codes in sales orders and invoices out using the same. So we would be exploring all these aspects in module 3. Then we would be hitting on module 4, which is more from the perspective of tracking the goals and targets for the salespersons, for the managers, and even across all the organization. Let's say you are having a team of 20 salespeople and you are setting up a goal that they all have to close at least 10 leads every day or 10 leads in a quarter. All those tracking can be done in Dynamics CRM. Dynamics CRM supports individual goals as well as parent goals, hierarchy goals, and whatnot. And last but not the least, we would be exploring towards data analytics part, wherein we would be creating few reports using the out-of-box features of Dynamics CRM, and as well as we would be exploring ways so as to create reports or analyze data using the capabilities of Power BI in Dynamics CRM. So that's how this entire course would be giving an overview of multiple things out in there. And then once you are good with all these parts, because these are something very much basic or very much important to your module of Dynamics CRM, sales CRM we can say, then we would be exploring in module 6 about the sales insights, like how to configure the sales insight, like which helps you so as to give or gather the insights about all the previous discussion, the phone calls with your prospective lead. And then definitely each and every organization relies upon the surveys which are being sent out to you after everything positive or negative. And for that we have a specific module wherein we would be exploring the same, that is Dynamics 365 Customer Voice, in which we would be trying to create a survey project followed by creating of surveys using the customer's voice, and then sending out these surveys to your prospective leads, contacts and accounts out in there. So that's all about this agenda or the course agenda for this program. With module 1, wherein we would be discussing about configuring Dynamics 365. So what exactly happens is, whenever we start implementing Dynamics CRM sales, for each and every organization, there would be certain specific configurations which we need to undertake. And these configurations would be like, let's say, setting up their fiscal year duration, setting up their holiday calendar, their price list, their prices, etc. out in there. In this module, we would be discussing all about that. So usually what happens is, whenever you would start implementing Dynamics CRM or you would start exploring Dynamics CRM, there would be a common confusion among all, like which app should I use? Whether I should use Dynamics 365 Custom, whether I use Sales Hub, or whether I should use Sales Trial out in there. And that is one of the most varied confusion among the businesses. Now what exactly happens is, the background, that is the database, the dataverse, the tables, columns which are being used by these are all same. These are something like your look and feel for the things. So what exactly happens is, the Sales Hub is the same app, but it has been used or it has been developed by using the another framework which we call it as Unified Interface Framework. And now what exactly is its importance or benefit? That it is more a responsive web design principle to provide an optimal viewing and interaction experience to any of the users or the screens and the devices and orientation, etc. Whereas there are professional apps, that is Sales Trial. It is showing to you a Sales Trial, but it is more of a professional app which is very much similar in functionalities to your Sales Hub, but at the same time, there are multiple other functionalities which are involved, or multiple other tables which are visible to us. And to load any of these apps, simply click on the app in Sales Hub or Sales Trial and you would be able to see the module out in there. Now what exactly happens is, as you proceed with the development or as you proceed with the configuration of this module for the business, the things keep on changing. You would be changing the sitemap out in there, you would be changing the layout of the things out in there. Now earlier, before the Sales Hub or the Sales Professional app, we used to have Dynamics 365 Custom module, which was more of a sales, service and marketing module out in there. So in here, see, you are able to see sales, app settings, sales insights, personal settings and etc. out in there. And it has the sales accelerator out in there, which is more towards from the responsive and interactiveness for the businesses out in there. Now once we start developing this, what exactly happens is, we need to configure the things out in the business. For that, what you need to do is, you need to click on this advanced settings and this will open another tab for you based upon your configuration, and you need to go to the under the settings, business management settings out in there. Under the business management, what exactly happens is, you would be configuring multiple things out in there, like let's say business management. Yes, you can see multiple other options out in there, but for now I would be concentrating more towards configuring the things from the initial configurations. So first, the most important thing is the sales territories. Now what exactly is that sales territory, or what exactly is its importance? So what happens is, whenever you enroll, usually businesses avoid using this functionality, but is one of the good functionalities to add in. So what exactly happens is, whenever you would start implementing Dynamics 365 sales, you would be having users out in there, that is salespersons, sales managers or their senior sales managers. There would be products, there would be other things out in there. And definitely we want to divide this stuff based upon your territories. Let's say you are going to deal with a global organization which is working across the globe. So definitely you want to associate specific salespeople with specific sales territories so that there is no confusion among them. And two, for undertaking the same, you simply click on the sales territories and you would be allowed to create multiple records out in there. By default, there is no records, no configurations out in there, but eventually when we wish to create, we can create new sales territories. We can associate managers as well as the sales members or persons out in there. And this is one of the most important functionality out in there. Usually if you wish, you can create parent territory followed by small sub-parent territories or a hierarchy of territories out in there. Yes, let's say territory, let's name it, let's say California is my one of the territory, and associated, if there is a parent to it, you can associate a parent. If you associate a manager to it, it's all up to you if you want to configure the same. These are few of the things which we start while implementing Dynamics CRM sales out in there. Now post territories, let's see what are other things which we need to configure. After the territories, there are auto number settings out in there. I usually use these auto number settings a lot in my implementation, because using this auto number settings, what exactly happens is you would be able to configure the numbers which would be generated over your contracts, over your cases, articles, codes, order, invoices. And this is again based upon your business requirement, what type of auto number they want to configure for their application. So you need to simply go on settings. Usually I go through this way. Each one and everyone has its own way of doing it. Auto number audit module, I just went in there, and in their formats, probably in formats, you would be seeing the currency formats if you want to change the currency formats for your organization. And in here, probably sales, I would be seeing somewhere auto number just. So yes, I just figured it out, and the auto number settings are available under your settings, administration. And from here, we decide based upon our business requirement, what would be their auto number configurations. Now, apart from this, it's not a mandate that you need to configure the auto numbers only from here. There are multiple other ways. At times, we create an attribute, a column in our database, and that would be used so as to configure the auto numbers over our different records. Let's say whenever a contract would be created, what would be its auto number generated? What would be a case auto number, what would be on codes, what would be on orders. Based upon your business requirement, you can configure the same. Once these two major aspects have been covered, then we have to configure the physical year. Like whatever I am sharing with you are not a mandate, but these are something very much helpful for a business to grow at later stages, like what would be their start date, what would be their holiday calendar, because based upon that you would be able to configure a lot of things. Let's say you are willing, one of your customer is willing to buy a product from your organization, and your physical year settings have not been configured well. So what will happen is that even on a holiday, even on any day, he would be expecting a response from you, or you have to do various other goals and etc. So these physical year settings helps us so as to configure like what would be my quarters, what would be my monthly targets, what would be my yearly targets, and all of the things out in there. Post that, one of the most important thing which I usually loved so as to configure before starting a project are my currencies. So Dynamics CRM supports multiple functionalities, and that one of the standard is their currency. Now what exactly happens is there is always a confusion. Let's say I am writing an opportunity as a dollar value, but what would be its equivalent value in INR or the Indian rupee? And for all those things we have to configure in here, like how we need to configure, like what would be the code, what would be its precision, what would be its name, symbol, and the equivalent value to a dollar. So what happens is whenever a user would change his usual settings. Under the settings, what exactly happens is we do have a personal settings out in there. So if I would configure my personal settings is Indian rupee and my system has been configured in dollar, so what will happen is all my opportunities, my stuff would start appearing in the equivalent value of Indian rupee. And being a user, I would feel very much comfortable that my content has been converted or my content has been being represented to me as an Indian rupee. So please ensure so as to configure all these things before you start implementing Dynamics CRM with any of the organizations out in there. This is something very much general in there, like why Dynamics CRM is important to each and every organization, because it helps your organizational people so as to build a strong relationship with your customers. They get an 365 view of your information or their customers' information. They are able to take action on their customer inputs based upon the insights which are being offered to them. Like let's say phone calls, emails, what have the interactions have been taken in the past and all those stuff out in there. Now let's move towards our next slide, which is very much important slide. So usually what exactly happens is this is a basic slide which is a feature overview slide, and let me explain you this feature slide with a little more explanation to it. So what usually happens is, let's say you and me went for buying a car for an organization, from an organization, and we are very much interested in a car. So usually what happens is we would be a customer to them when we visit their reception and they fill in our details so as to create our lead out in there. Once our lead has been created, they will start interacting with you over phone call or anything, or appointments, emails, etc. And once you say yes to them, then it would be converted into an equivalent opportunity out in there. Now once the opportunity has been created, they would be offering you, they would be attaching the price list to it to create a quote and the order and the invoice and product catalog. These are various things which are very much important for implementation of any sales implementation or sales setup for an organization. Usually in Dynamics CRM, all these areas, let's say lead, opportunity, quote, order and invoice, this plays the most important role, because from here you are gaining your businesses, new businesses you are acquiring from organizations out in there. And we as developers, we are responsible for two aspects, either using the capabilities of the product so as to configure the same to meet up the requirements, and if businesses requirements are not being met by the out-of-box functionalities, then we go for implementing the same through using the custom code, which could be a plugin or a workflow. So let's move towards the next slide and let's see what all we have to cover in upcoming process. Process flows. What exactly is the sales process? So this slide is all about the sales process overview, and usually this is something very much common in day-to-day life, even when we are working with any of the CRM system, that is customer relationship management system. So what exactly happens is any business which is working across the globe first creates a lead out of it. That is, a lead is a prospected buyer for a product or an offering which is being offered by the organization. Let's say you are planning to buy a car. So what exactly happens is you will visit multiple car dealerships and they will probably create a record out of yours information in the application so as to track it and so as to get reach to you at various instant of time. They would have initial discussions with you, set up meetings, discussions, etc. And then if everything goes good, they will qualify it to create an opportunity out in there. Once the opportunity has been created, which is on the second part, then they would be qualifying it so as to create a code. And definitely before creating a code out of your opportunity, they would be tagging the products along with the price list out in there. The code would be created and then it would be converted to an order if you accept the quote which is being offered by the organization, whatever you are planning to buy. Let's say that is a car, and if everything goes well, your order would be submitted to the organization, and whenever they are ready to deliver the product to you, they would be creating an invoice out of it. And now I would be presenting you the entire application in here. So what exactly happens is, in Dynamics CRM sales, there are multiple ways to create out a lead. So usually what happens is, we go to this lead table out in there, or you can create a lead from a quick create form, which is on the top, a plus button in there. Now once you have created a lead, then we would be proceeding ahead with multiple operations out in there. So let's try creating a lead from a quick create form. Now you would be having a confusion, why quick create form and why not a main form? Exactly, quick create form is a way so as to create a data, a record in the application, which is only with required information. Let's say you and me are in a discussion and I need to fill in your information out in there. So what would be suggested? Whether should I create the lead directly through a quick create form, or should I plan so as to create it through a prescribed form with a lot of attributes out in there? Definitely a quick create form. So let's say we fill in the topic in there. The topic would be, let's say, sales lead demo, and the budgeted amount for this purchase is $10,000. Purchase time frame, if you wish, let's say immediately. What would be the source of the lead? Partner. First name, let's say Sumit Gupta, and I'm filling all the information from in there. Now all these fields on the form are customizable. We can configure it based upon our requirement, and we save and close the lead. There are multiple other ways in which a lead can be created in the application, but usually during the demos we use quick create form, and we will be now seeing the various other things out in there. Now this lead has been created, this record has been created with the information of Sumit Gupta as a contact, and account would be his company if we would be filling in all this information out in there, and the form is loading on our screen out in there. Now let's say you are a car dealership company. So what happens is, you have a record of Mr. Sumit with you. You would be doing multiple other things with Mr. Sumit, like his job title, phone number you would be filling in. Let's say we fill in my phone number, my personal number in here. We filled in my phone number and we are saving this record again. For me, it's taking a little longer because I'm using a private window. There is no cache to this environment, and that's the reason the things are taking a little longer to get created. Now, during the creation of the lead, all these things which are visible to you are configurable. That is, you can change the stakeholders, you can fill in the information of competitors if any, or other things apart. Now, once you have filled in all this information, there are multiple things which we can do. Like, let's say I click on this plus button to set an appointment with Mr. Sumit, or I set up a phone call or a meeting with him. So what exactly happens is, all these things are well integrated, well synced to your Office 365. And so whatever the action you would be creating in here, let's say you would be setting up a meeting, so it would be synced to your Outlook calendar and you would be getting a notification out in there. And why we do all these things in here? So that, let's say today I am working with this lead, tomorrow Mr. X would be working over it. So he gets an overview of everything, like what exactly is the status of the lead is. Now post our discussion, let's say everything is good, what Mr. Sumit is expecting from us, we do offer that thing to the from our organization. We can definitely fill in more details, like details, we can integrate it with SharePoint and other stuff around. And all these things are configurable in there. Now once we have done this, we would be qualifying this lead so as to create an opportunity. So internally what exactly happens is, all this information which we have filled in our lead record would be copied over so as to create a contact, an account, along with an opportunity out in there. Once the opportunity has been created, now the next steps or the next operations would start happening in there. Let's say which type of product has to be offered to Mr. Sumit, what would be the product items, what are his requirement, whether he is looking for something different which is not offered by us, or what are all the discussions which are happening with Mr. Sumit. All those things can be tracked into Dynamics CRM. Now on the product line items, on the opportunity, definitely we all need to configure the products which needs to be configured or which needs to be offered to Mr. Sumit Gupta. So for that, Dynamics CRM has a very much good concept of price list, and I would be explaining the concept of price list in upcoming discussions. For now, I am very much keeping it on base level. That is, I created a price list, I attached the price list, and now I would be adding the products which are associated to this price list to this opportunity, so that we can offer all those products to Mr. Sumit, and we can create an order, a quote, then an order, and then followed by an invoice out in there. So my screen is loading at the moment, and now I am clicking on add products, and this opens or pops up another list of the products which are associated to this particular price list. Usually what happens in an organization, we can have multiple price lists, and these multiple price lists would be holding the same set of products but with different prices. Let's say I want to offer this product in US for $10, where in Canada for a little more price, whereas in China for little lesser price. So price list is more like a way so as to distinguish between the products based upon their availability, based upon a region, based upon the business requirement. Exactly. So I am adding all those products to my opportunity. Now you can see that the products has been associated to this opportunity. Now there are multiple things which I would be taking care in progress, or which we would be discussing in upcoming discussions, because for now I want to keep it more specific to our sales process. But eventually when we would discuss it more, there is a lot more to be covered on here. And the revenue, what exactly happens is, if you see in here, there are two attributes. If I select a system calculated, what will happen is estimated revenue would be calculated based upon the price per unit, your quantity, and the amount in there. Now on the opportunity, if you want to offer some discount to your customer, if discount by percent or discount, a flat discount, you can definitely associate those amount in there. Let's say I want to offer you a 10% discount. Oh, sorry, it's 0, not 10% discount in here. So what exactly happens is, the 10% discount would be applied to my total amount in there the moment I would save it. If I want to add some freight amount, I can add it. If I want to do other stuff around, that creates an amount which would be reflected to my organization internally out in there. Now definitely I need to lock this opportunity to move it to a next stage, wherein we need to share a quote to my expected customer. Let's say a quote to in there. So there are multiple ways so as to create a quote, but keeping the thing simple, I simply click on the quote tab out in there, and we would be clicking on this plus new button in there. The moment we will be clicking on plus new quote, what exactly happens is, as per the configuration in the application, all the data which has been filled in by you on lead, opportunity, it would be pre-filled in your opportunity record, in your quote record out in there, which would be really helpful for our businesses out in there. On the quote, now we would be provisioning more information on the quote record, like let's say the shipping method, how you want to ship this thing to the customer, the number, the versioning control, and everything out in there. Once the quote information would be ready, for me the screen takes a little longer because I am using a private window and there is no cache in my browser. So see, every information has been pre-populated, and this quote ID, which you can see on the top, has been generated using the auto number which we configured in the first phase of our discussion out in there. Now there are multiple things like how you want to ship it, what would be your payment term, freight term, billing to, bill to, everything you can fill in there. The reason it is not pre-filled, usually what happens is we fill in all this information on a lead record or on an opportunity record, and all that information gets pre-populated in here. But I am keeping the things very much simple and straightforward so as to give you a quick glance of it. So now my quote has been created, and in there we have a details tab, we have other information which is available out in there. So I simply create the quote, I save it, And now there are multiple buttons out in there. Let's say I want to export it as PDF while sending to my customer, or taking approval from my manager, or before doing anything we simply need to activate this code. What exactly activating a code means, that it is freezing the code before sharing it with our customers, so that none of us among our team members would be able to undertake any of the changes to it. Because let's say the code is with my customer and someone in my team logs into the application and undertakes a change on the code, that would be adding a wrong impression to my business. So we simply lock it by activating the code. Now there would be multiple things, like let's say you want to create an order directly to it, assign it to someone, or you want to send it or share it with your customer, export it as PDF and everything. Now there could be multiple things out on this code. That is, I shared the code with my customer, but he is not ready to accept this code because it's way too much than what he has been expecting, and I want to revise this code. So I can click on the revise button, that will reopen this code, and the revision ID would be increasing the moment I would be revising it. But let's say for our case, the code has been accepted by my customer and I am happy so as to create an order out of it. I simply click on this create an order. Again, they click on the create order will open up a pop-up. Definitely when you are creating an order, it means the opportunity has been won. And it is won. What is the date? What is the description? Do you want to close the opportunity? Usually when we create an order, we close the opportunity. At times when we are going to create multiple codes over the same opportunity or multiple orders on the same opportunity, we keep it as open and we keep it as, but usually we close it. So happy flow, again we are following it and we are closing the opportunity before creating an order out of it. The moment we click on the create an order, another table, another record would be created in our application, which means creating an order. Now this order you would be sharing with your internal teams who are responsible for arranging that item or the product for the organization. So usually what happens is, till creating of a code and winning the code or closing the code is the responsibility of your sales team. The moment an order is created, then it comes under the context of the another team, which are more or less from the product management team or shipment team or your inventory management team. And once they create an order, they would be fulfilling this order. So on the top, that is, they have multiple buttons, that is, they fulfill the order, and then the account team creates an invoice, or at times they can simply say I have fulfilled the order, and then they create an invoice to it. The moment the invoice is created, again all this information would be populated on your invoice entity. Now the accounts team will play around, will generate multiple invoices, will divide it into multiple terms based upon your requirement, or at times this particular invoice would be pushed to SAP application, wherein they would be taking it ahead. That is, we have an invoice ID, we have the name, we have the customer, we have the delivery dates and etc. available in there. And that is the happy flow of Dynamics CRM. That is, starting from the lead record. We all started from a lead record which we created through a quick create. Then we qualified it so as to create an opportunity record. We played around, or we worked upon the opportunity record so as to fulfill more information, which includes your price list item, products out in there. We associated few of the products and then we moved it to create a quote out of it. Now quote has its own thing, that is, it has a template, it has an auto number, it has a revision ID, etc. out in there. Once the quote has been created, then we qualify this quote so as to create an order, which is handled by another different team most of the time, and at times the sales team. Usually sales team is responsible till quote, and the moment an order is created, the other team in there, that is who is responsible for product inventory management, comes in picture and they start fulfilling this order. The moment they are able to fulfill the order, they mark the order as fulfilled and they move it towards the account team so as to create an invoice. And then the invoice generation team starts creating an invoice, sending it to your customer so as to bring out that required money for the organization, and which is the most important aspect for implementation of dynamic CRM out in there. Now this slide is more about core common terms which are being used in dynamic CRM, not specific to sales. These are the terms which are very much specific to everything out in there. Everything out in there includes your like dynamic CRM sales module, marketing module, field service module, customer service module, and few other modules like project management, etc. out in there. Now if you wish, we would be definitely targeting all these terms in upcoming discussions, so I am not taking up everything out in there, but let's move it ahead. Now for any of the application across the globe, we do have data tables, and this slide is all about your data model out in there. Usually if you are coming from any of the background, let's say you are coming from .NET background or a Java background, most of us all are exposed to data storage, either in Excel, either in your SQL or MySQL in there. And something similar, a data model, is being offered by Microsoft for this amazing tool Dynamic CRM. The data model remains common for all the applications or all the modules of Dynamic CRM, include your sales, service, marketing, project management, field service, etc. out in there. So now I would be discussing all these terms with you the same way we have just explored the sales modules out in there. So first of all, we need to log into this URL, that is make.powerapps.com. Now in here you would be seeing a list of environments available. So usually what happens is, if you are coming from a conventional technology, you would have discussed or you would have worked upon different type of environments like say development, QA, UAT, pre-prod, prod, and much more. On the same lines, in Power Platform, you can create multiple environments for your organization. So I am first switching up to my sales trial environment, over which we have been doing most of our work. That is, we have been doing the stuff around, which includes your module setup. And now on your left side, you would be seeing these options, something like tables. And each table would be having certain columns out in there, and there would be relationships among each and everything out in there. So we would be exploring the same. So usually what happens is, whenever you would provision a new environment of dynamic CRM sales, few of the tables or a lot of tables which are very much specific to the sales module would be auto created by the application. Now based upon the business requirement, we can create more tables to it, we can add more tables, more properties to it, so as to extend our functionalities out in there. Earlier this was not available. This is a benefit or a newly innovative feature which has been launched by Microsoft under the term of Power Platform, wherein you are able to perform each and every action on your database, on your Dataverse, exactly the way we have been creating Excel file. So let's say I wish to create a table. I simply add the demo. The table name is demo, the display name for the table, and we do have advanced properties for it, like whether it's a standard table or you want it to be a virtual table or an activity table, what would be the ownership of this table, etc. out in there. And see, even I am not using any line of code, I am not writing any of the query, everything would be auto created. Now whenever we create a table, what exactly happens is, all the features, all the things like all the functionalities like these tables, we have created a table. Few of the columns would be auto created by the application. These column includes your like let's say created on, modified by, last updated on. All these attributes are auto created by the application, and the reason for this is Microsoft Dynamics CRM Sales needs all these attributes for internal tracking, auditing, and following other things out in there. Now we do have the functionality, and like we have created this table out in there. Now if you go in there, like let's say using this table we can perform multiple operations and things out in there, and I am showing you few of the properties out in there. Let's say we click on these columns. So what exactly happens is, it will load all these columns, and you would be saying, hey Sumit, we never created this column. Why they have been created? These are out of box columns which are created in the application. Now let's say I wish to create a new column out in there. I can simply write the name, like let's say demo column. I can support a long list of data types out in there. Dynamics CRM Sales or Power Platform by default supports a long list of attributes. Like let's say if I want to have a text, so what type of text I would be storing, like email, phone call, rich text editor, or you want a plain text editor with a multiple line in there. Or if you want to support a number, what would be the number, whole number, decimal, float. So based upon the business requirement, we can select all these attributes out in there. Usually we use a lot of attributes, a lot of data types, and again I am not using any of the queries so as to create it. It's more like a click and create functionalities out in there. Usually if you go towards the conventional technology, for all these things you needed a corresponding developer or an expertise person who could run the queries for you. But in Power Platform, that's the beauty. Nothing is needed to be installed on its application. Nothing needs to be configured on your machine. Everything is browser based and you can do and achieve the things or business requirement just by following few of the clicks out in there. Now the third thing is the relationship part. So what exactly is a relationship? So let's say you are implementing something for a banking domain. Definitely in banking domain, there would be a customer information, and this customer would be performing n number of transactions every day so as to meet their business requirement. Let's say I would be swiping my credit card here and there, I would be sending my debit card, and for every transaction, it's next to impossible to populate entire information of my customer. So what usually we do is we would be creating a relationship between my customer data and my transaction data, and then this lookup would be helping me so as to populate the information, and whenever a user would be willing to access this information, they can simply click on that record and then they would be moving to their associated tables out in there. So let me show you how to create this association, and for that we have this specific attribute that is a lookup. A lookup, and in the lookup we have two types of lookup, that is lookup, simple lookup, and a customer type of lookup. I would be explaining you everything in brief or in detail afterwards, but for now, for MB210 we are very much restricting ourselves towards the basic functionalities for an overview of it in there. So to which table you want to create a relationship to it, and internally Power Platform will take care of everything, like creating a secondary key or a primary key out in there. Primary key is GUID, we call it, global unique identifier. We use it so as to identify the records, and the primary key would be helping us so as to create an associated secondary key, a relationship among the records. So now in here on the screen, if I want to show you a relationship, so see, this is a relationship. Invoice table is associated to customer table by using this attribute. The moment I will click on this, I would be taken back to the associated record, which would be having more information for this particular Sumit Gupta. So usually what happens is you are ensuring that you are following the best practices out in there. Best practices means that you are not storing the data n number of times, you are not duplicating the data in your database, and you are following the best practices out in there. Now for the relationship part, we have multiple type of relationships in Dynamics or in Power Platform, that is one-to-n, n-to-1, and n-to-n relationship. We would be discussing all these things in brief or in detail in upcoming discussions out in there. Now comes the security part, and which is very much important, which we would be targeting in our next discussion in our upcoming slide. For the security part to work upon, you first need to log in into this URL, that is admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com. There are multiple other ways so as to achieve the same, so as to access your environment security rules and profiles. But usually, being a CRM administrator, I personally start doing it from here. That is, I go to this, we have a list of environments, what all are the environments over which you wish to work, like let's say my development, my UAT, my QA, my production environment. So I usually go it through this way. There has been a conventional way in which we used to perform this, and Through here, we can open the environment settings out in there. Stay relaxed, I would be covering the admin part for Dynamics CRM all together in a different video, but let's for now target on the security rules and the profiles part. Now in here, you need to click on the security rules, and the moment you will click on it, it will be loading a new screen for you wherein list of all the environments, list of all the security rules to your environment would be shown to you. Now, whenever we provision this Dynamics CRM sales, it comes in with a lot number of rules, pre-built rules out in there. Now, based upon your requirement, you can create new rules. You can copy these existing rules so as to create new rules and profiles in there. Now, you all would be in a confusion like what exactly is the importance of role out in there. Now, first, let's discuss it from this perspective out in there. Now, in here, you can see a large number of leads in there. All the leads which are in there, and these are all my prospected buyers out in there. Now in an organization, definitely there would be multiple salespeople who would be working all together so as to bring new businesses to the organization. Now the moment we say it, definitely there would be a competition among each of the salesperson, and we would be definitely being on management side, we would be trying to ensure that one user should not be able to access the data or the lead record of the other user or other salesperson in my organization. And to overcome the same, we have security rules out in there. At times, let's say you belong to sales team, there would be people who would be belonging to the accounting team. There would be people who would be belonging to your service management team. And so based upon your roles and responsibilities, we would be ensuring that you are only accessing the data for which you have been provisioned for. It's something like similar, like in your organization, you might be having your ID card, and using your ID card, you are allowed so as to access only specific floors in your building. You are not allowed to enter everywhere and anywhere. And by that, we would be ensuring that we are covering or we are limiting the responsibilities of each and every individual. Based upon your roles and responsibilities, you would be seeing less number of tables, less number of records, and etc. out in there. Now, we do have a concept of business units. Like business units is more like a logical grouping of users based upon their location, based upon their responsibilities, or at times based upon their task on which they would be working. It's very much core unit of Dynamics CRM. It usually decided at very initial stages like what structure we would be following while implementing this particular application in there. Now let me open a specific role, existing role out in there, and this is the security role, and these are the security permissions. Let's open a sales person role out in there instead of this activity feeds, because the salesperson role would be very much like something very much relatable to all of you. So I'm just scrolling down and I am just opening a manager role or a salesperson role, sales team member. So let's open it, and usually when I open it, I click on this button, control. So now what exactly happens is I have clicked on the sales manager role, and this has loaded this screen in there. Now there are two things, whether I want to edit this role or whether I want to add people to this role. So if I click on the adder people, I would be able to pull out the users who have been granted Dynamics 365 licenses in Office 365, and I would be able to pull out those users out in there. But for now, we are more in an edit mode, and let's edit it. And this opens my edit mode of sales manager role. Now, one of the recommended practices, please avoid changing or moving around or editing the existing out-of-box sales rules or any of the rules. If you have a business requirement which requires you so as to modify the rule, it's advised to copy it, create a new role of your choice, and then save the same with the new permissions out in there. And the reason for the same is, let's say in future a new module or new thing would be released by Microsoft. Whenever you would be updating or pulling out those changes and you want to validate whether it's working all in good or not, the first thing Microsoft asks you that are you using the default roles or have you modified it? And to overcome all those challenges, it's really advised that you don't change the out-of-box roles out in there. Now, the roles have these blue, green or yellow buttons out in there, and it's very much crucial for it. Now think from a perspective of a normal user or a conventional technology, what would be the operations you would be willing so as to take up in a table in any of the application, in a database table. That is, either you would be interested in creating a record, which means C, you would be interested in reading a record value, that is R, you would be interested in updating the value, that is U, and you would be interested in deleting the record values. So these are the CRUD operations which mentions what you can do in there. So on my left, on my extreme left, you can see the name of all the data tables which are available in your Dataverse. That is account table, ACI viewer mapper, action card. These are all my table names towards my left. On the top, the tables have been grouped based upon their functionalities, based upon their business importance. Let's say these all the tables are very much important for my core module. These are marketing tables. These tables are very much important for my marketing module out in there. These tables are important for my sales module. These are the tables which are very much important for my service module out in there. Now these were very much specific to your sales, marketing and service. There are tables which are very much important for your business management. Let's say you want to offer a user a functionality to change your financial calendar, to update their holiday calendars, etc. out in there, print functionalities out in there, mail merge functionalities out in there. So all those things are covered under your business management aspect out of it. Now these customizations means enabling a user so as to undertake the modifications in your environment based upon your requirement. Let's say I want you to be allowed so as to create a new table. So that will again be controlled using a customizations feature. Usually we restrict everyone from creating, updating or deleting any of the customizations in the application. Most of the time we offer them the read functionalities out in there. Now, whenever you would be adding a new table, that table would be added under your custom entities group. So let's say based upon my requirement, my business requirement, I created a table, a new table, so as to store a data for traveling. Let's say mode of travel, that is train, bus, car, and I want it to be a reference table because the values would be changing in future a lot or new values would be added in there. In that case, all those tables which you would be creating would be appended under your custom entities. So that is the way the tables are arranged under your security rule. That is core records, then the tables based upon their management functionalities, that is on which module they would be important to, then your custom entities out in there. Now you would be very much confused what are these yellow and green buttons, or why few of the circles are red out in there. So now what exactly happens is, let's say this means a user with the security role of sales manager will not be able to create any of the record in account table because I have restricted him from creating anything in the account table out in there, which means you don't have a permission so as to create a record out in there. Now something similar to the read, like if I simply remove this permission and will save it, now any user who would be assigned this role will not be able to see anything related to accounts table. Even on his app, when he would log in into your model driven app, he will not be even able to see this accounts tab out in there because he doesn't have the required permission so as to read anything from the account table. Something similar is write. Write means updating a record. That is, are you allowed to update a record or not? So I am simply removing allowing, or I am not allowing anyone so as to update the record out in there. And something similar for the delete part. So that was for create, read, write and delete. Now I am stepping up towards a next logic in your permissions, that is something like this. See, the moment I click, it turns a yellow, and this yellow is very much smaller in size. Let's discuss this concept using this read permission out in there. So what exactly happens is, if you see, if I am clicking, it keeps on increasing out in there. See, it increases, it decreases, and it goes away. Now the key to it is something which has been shared to us towards the bottom out in there. That is none selected, a user selected, a business unit, a parent child, and an organization level. Now let's discuss it with a brief example. Let's say you are working in a team and I want you to be restricted that you should be allowed only to read the records of which you are an owner to it. The owner attribute plays the most important part in Dynamics CRM. That is, you would be allowed only to read the records which have been created by you or which have been assigned to you, or those have been assigned to a team to which you are a member of. Then you would be only able to read only those records. If I select it like this, then it becomes a business unit concept, which I would be discussing in upcoming discussions when we would be discussing about the business unit. That is, let me give you a brief example. Let's say you are working for an organization which is having 3 hierarchies of office. Let's say your head office is in India. Under India, you have state offices like, let's say, Mumbai, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, MP, UP, something like that. And below that, you have your city offices. Now, if you see it from the architectural view, you are having 3 levels of offices out in there. Now, what if I want you to read all the records which belongs to your office or your branch in there? So we simply select this business unit. When you wish to read a record of your business, of your branch, as well as the branch which is just a parent to you, then we select parent child. We select this like this. Now, if I want you to be allowed so as to read the records from every branch in your organization, then I select you like this. So this is something very much brief about security rules in Dynamics. I am planning to create few more materials specific to security management in Dynamics because we have multiple other ways of managing security profiles, security rules in there. Now, at times you would be willing, hey Sumit, how should we copy this rule? So usually what happens is, whenever we have a business requirement that they want us to make a new role, so what we do first is we try to articulate which is the minimum, which is the role which matches our requirement the maximum. And we simply copy that role, save it with a new name, and then undertake the changes in the permission or modifications in the permission in the same in there. And that helps us so as to avoid like overwriting of the roles in future releases, overwriting of the roles in future deployments, as well as if any other functionality is being released by Microsoft, we can assign these default roles to the user to validate those functionalities based upon a business requirement. So now a quick brief, what we have covered till now. We covered about sales territories. We did explore the auto number settings out in there. We did a small discussion about the physical year settings, the currencies, but not the goals. And we discussed about the goals, but we would be doing it practically in our upcoming discussions out in there. Now, post that, we have seen customization options for our Sales Hub app. Why Sales Hub app? Why a professional app? What is the importance of security rules out in there? We just discussed it. we discussed something about tables, how to create new tables, a form and a view. Form and view we have not discussed yet, but we would be discussing. And what exactly is a business process flow. Now let's discuss about business process flow in brief. So what exactly happens is, let's say you got onboarded to your organization today, and I simply walk in and I ask, hey Mr. X, please assist me with creation of a new lead record and please follow the business's specifications out in there. And for sure you would be confused where to go, what to do, how to do, what data I should fill in, and what action should I take in. And that's come for your help and assistance is business process flow. Business process flow is a guided flow which is implemented, which is developed in organizations so as to help you create the best records. That is, let's say in my organization, I have a business that whenever you are creating a lead, you should enter the first name, the last name, the amount, the estimated amount, and a lot more. And how would you know it? Because the form is too big so as to perform each and every action out in there. And to overcome the same, what I could do is I could design a business process flow for my business so that anyone who logs in into the application, first of all, they know what to do, at what stage a lead is, and at what data they have to fill in so as to qualify that particular lead out in there. And for that, this is the business process flow. What exactly happens is you simply log in into a new lead record. You simply click on this qualify and you would be able to identify that I need to fill in all these attributes out in there so as to qualify this lead. Now as a business manager, they will know that now this lead is in develop stage. That is, the stage has changed to develop, and now they would be able to fill in the record details based upon the stage which is being in for the develop stage. Basically, this is a way so as to help your business so as to fill in the best possible data out in there, which could be very much helpful so as to perform the reporting and other exercises out in there. Now it also covers the number of hours for which it has been active. You can make the fields are required, you can add Boolean fields, you can drop down fields out in there, and you can have almost 7 stages out in there. It can be across multiple tables and multiple entities out in there. If you can just identify or observe that earlier stage was my lead stage, the develop stage I have linked it to my opportunity stage. The moment I would be going to for propose, it would be associated to my quote stage, and then close would be your order invoice, something like that. So that is the importance of business process flow. It's a guided path for your business users so that they fill in the required data in a required way so as to meet up the expectations of the business. You can create multiple business process flows for the same table. You can associate or you can assign business process flows based upon your roles even. Let's say me as a sales manager, I would be expecting a different sales business process flow, but someone as a salesperson would be associating a different sales business process flow. So it's more like adding an ease to your business users out in there. Now I'm taking you towards my next slide, that is security roles out in there. And yes, we all have discussed the security roles a lot in brief, in detail, like how the roles, how the tables have been grouped and how the things have been grouped. Now that what we have discussed is very much basic. There is much more for security roles out in there. Now I have in my presentations, I have referenced few of the labs exercises, and for that you simply need to log into a portal, and I am sharing. To perform the labs, you simply need to go to this URL, that is microsoftlearning.github.io/mb210-dynamics 365 for sales. And therein Microsoft has offered us all the labs for it, like lab 1.1, 2.1, how to manage customers, how to manage product catalogs, build codes, order invoices, configure dashboards, and build a sequence out in there. And we would be exploring all these things in my upcoming discussion. I will request you all so as to ensure following the lab practice along with the tutorial, which would be a best way so as to learn and implement the things. Let's start with our second module, and wherein we would be explicitly exploring the different ways to manage our leads and opportunities in Dynamics CRM. This would be like a very much extensive discussion regarding the sales management in Dynamics CRM, and yes, we have covered a glimpse of it in our earlier discussions too. In this, we would be discussing few more things very much specific to the things, and the module agenda would be, we would be looking into how or the ways in which our lead can be managed in Dynamics 365 sales module. And then we would be covering about how to manage the opportunities with Dynamics 365 sales. In the upcoming discussions after this, we would be looking into orders and invoices also. But let's start our discussion now with the lesson 1, wherein we would be discussing explicitly about managing the leads with the Dynamics CRM sales out in there. Now first, let's start with a real-time example out in there. Let's say you are willing to buy a car, and this car would be your dream car for sure. So you would start researching on internet, you would start looking for car owners, or you would be visiting the car dealerships around your place or around your home. What the car dealership would do is they would start asking you for your data out in there. The data would be your name, your phone number, your address, your expectation from the car, and other information out in there. And that's what a lead is. That this lead, you would be, let's say you would be visiting Chevrolet Motors, you would be visiting Nissan Motors, you would be visiting Tata Motors or Maruti Suzuki, and all of the agencies would be creating your leads out in there. Once they would be having your leads, that is, he is a prospected buyer for my product out in there. And therein the game begins. Now what happens is the next step would be, they would be start nourishing this lead. Like let's say they would be trying to send out you emails so as to create a positive impact. They would start calling you so as to gather more information about you, like what family size, color, choice, etc. out in there. And once they have all this information out in there, they would be trying to set up some appointments with you, a test ride with you, and they would be bringing that car to your home, and then they would be expecting you. Now once you have done all this thing, then you would either say a yes or no to the business out in there. And the business would simply say yes, so you are willing to buy this car. Now what exactly happens is, since you are willing to buy this car, so what exactly will happen is, now they will qualify this lead so as to create an opportunity out in there. Once the opportunity would be created, now comes the pricing part. Like what would be the price you would be expecting for the car, what would be they would be offering you, what would be the discount they would be offering to you, what would be the more things, service, etc. would be offered to. And all those would be tagged to your opportunity record out in there. Once everything has been tagged on your opportunity record, then the businesses would be trying so as to create a quote or share a quote with you. And this quote you can be expecting from all the organizations, like let's say Nissan Motors, Chevrolet, Tata, wherever you have booked your test ride out in there, or wherever you have given them a positive attitude that you are willing to buy the car. Now you have received the quote from 4 vendors out in there, and one of the vendor is giving you a lot of discount out in there. Now based upon that, you tried, oh man, I want to go and buy this car. But in the meanwhile, you approached the other vendor and said, hey man, he is giving me a discount. Will you be interested in giving me a similar discount? And to that, they would be offering you another quote, a revised quote for their product offering. Now based upon all these things, you would be accepting a quote out in there. And once you have accepted the quote, that means a deal has been finalized, and the opportunity, which was a prospected customer for the organization, has been won. Like they are ready to sell their product and you are ready to buy that product, and an order would be created for your product or your purchase out in there. Once you have your order has been created, and then the next stage would be the order fulfillment, wherein they would be deciding so as to generate an invoice, offer you a car or book your car, and everything would be done in there. And the same has been represented on my slide towards your left on the screen. That is, first and the most important, a lead has been identified. The lead has been identified based upon the discussion with the lead. It has been decided, yes, what the lead is expecting or what the lead is planning to buy is being offered by our organization. And on this basis, we qualify this lead. Now, internally, what happens is, whenever we qualify a lead in Dynamics CRM, the out of box, by default, what exactly happens is, the lead is qualified so as to create a contact out in there. That is, your personal data would be used so as to create a contact record. This contact record they would be referring, they would be using in future for multiple things. That could be like for your service management, for sending you email, marketing emails, sending you field service executives, etc. And now if you are belonging to an organization, usually let's say I work for XYZ consulting organization. So if there is a group discount or anything, then if we are filling in the account information, then this would be used so as to create an account out in there. And on qualification of the lead, everything would be created all together. That is your account, contact, and opportunity all together. On this opportunity, everything would be pre-populated from the lead information which has been filled in before at the first stage out in there. Once the lead has been created, opportunity has been created, then we would be playing around with opportunity so as to nourish it, so as to fulfill more information, more data out in there, so as to make it to a next stage. That would be a proposed stage, wherein we would be proposed with a quote by the business out in there. And once the quote has been created based upon our inputs, they would be creating an order, and then if the order all goes well, then they would be winning your business, and there would be business invoices. Now for every stage, let's say lead qualification, there are multiple ways in which a lead can be created into Dynamics CRM. And those ways could be like, first and the most important way could be directly creating the lead through your quick create form. Or there could be other ways through the integration. Let's say you raise up a request on the company's website through your internet search. The moment you fill in all the data, this data which you have filled on your company's website on contact us form would be pushed to Dynamics CRM sales lead management. And so the sales team will play active role so as to qualify this lead and bring up to a new business out in there. Other way could be sending out an email. Let's say you sent out an email to the business, let's say sales@maruti.com. The moment an email is received in the sales email ID which has been registered, the system processes it through their Outlook and creates a lead out in their CRM system. The third way could be, let's say you are already visiting their tradition, these seminars or some small market wherein they are having their small stall, and they can even ask you for you visited them, they took your visiting card, a business card from you, they scanned it and they created a lead on the go, which would be later on taken care by the sales team so as to reach you up, so as to meet up your expectations out in there. So Dynamics CRM, the word D365 suggests that this application can be integrated to n number of applications. Those could be your websites, your email, your text messages, your business card readers, even to your .NET based application, Java based application, and much more than expected. So let's step towards a practical representation of the lead qualification process in Dynamics 365 website. So this is my general module. What exactly happens is, whenever you log in into your Dynamics 365 using your credential, a lot number of modules would be visible to you based upon your roles, your permission, based upon your licenses, etc. Now we have for sales, we have Sales Hub, Sales Trial, and as per my discussion with you in previous session, that in the background, it's the same database which is storing these values. It's the same table, same columns, just the representation of the information keeps on changing based upon your module or more based upon the app you are selecting. So Sales Hub is more with sales insight features. Let's say you are having a discussion with a call, and based upon your call, a positive or negative discussion, LinkedIn connections, all are those functionalities which are available in Sales Hub. Whereas Sales Trial is our basic module which was available even during our initial days of development. So let's log in into our Sales Hub environment. The moment we select the Sales Hub, this model app would be loaded on your screen, and we would be able to perform multiple actions out in there. And I would be trying to demo you most of the stuff out in there, but definitely a practice makes a man perfect. So I would request you all to follow the labs as per possible. So now in here, let's say I click on the lead module. For some reason I'm using private window, and this private window at times is slow for Dynamics 365 CRM. So my view has loaded. I simply click on plus new on the top so as to create a new lead record. In my previous discussion, I have used the quick create. Please refer to the same for more exposure and more clarity out in there. So this is the basic form which has been loaded, all good. And now on the top, there are two ways, multiple ways so as to fill in the data. First, data can be filled by using your business process flow, like whether is it an existing contact. If yes, kindly fill in and it will pre-populate it. Whether it is an existing account, kindly select the same so that that same can be referred and attached in here. What is the time frame for the purchase, what is the estimated budget, and along with the process for it, like whether it's an individual, committee, or unknown based upon it. So let's say we create a record out directly out in here with a topic like, let's say, buy a car. Okay, and the name for buying the car is Mr. Dinesh, and last name is Mr. Gupta. The job title, I'm leaving it blank. I don't have the phone number at this moment, but I do have his email ID. Let's say sumit.info. Okay, I filled in the email address. Okay, now if he belongs to a company, like if you can recall, I just shared with you that either you want to create a contact, account, or both. If you fill in the company information, the company record would be created also. Buy a car company. I'm just mentioning company so that it's easier for us so as to refer it at the later stages. Buyacar.com. Street, let's say V1248. 1286, something like this. City is California. Oh, city is LA, California. I'm just filling in the data and let's save this record. Now what exactly happens is we have created this lead. This lead could have been created through any of the sources. The sources could be your website, integration, mobile app, anything out in there. Once the lead is available in the application, now comes the role of salesperson who has been creating it, the sales manager who has been supervisor to your salesperson. Everyone comes in picture in there. Now the next step would be, definitely you cannot propose a solution, you cannot develop this lead without having a discussion with Mr. Dinesh out in there. And for tracking of all those activities, what exactly happens is we have this timeline control. I can simply say plus to set up a phone call activity with Mr. Dinesh. And what exactly happens is, the moment I would create a phone call activity, this phone call activity would be linked to my Outlook calendar. Now there are two things. Either I have already done this call, or either I am planning to do this call in future. Now it's all up to me how I want it to be done. If I want to track it for future, what exactly happens is, whenever this date will come, it will remind me that I need to make a call to Mr. Dinesh. The second thing is, if I'm not making this call or I have already done this call, what I can do is I can add a description to this so that any of my fellow member or my team member or my manager, if they open this record, they would be able to identify that yes, Sumit is already in discussion with Mr. Dinesh. He has already make a phone call appointment, so that none of the other teammates would be bugging around Mr. Dinesh like, hi sir, I want to meet you, I want to do this, and etc. out in there. Now while you are trying to sell the car, there could be competitors. So let's say I can add a existing competitor to it, like if there is a data in my application. Yeah, so I'm just adding a competitor to this lead, so that whenever my manager, the sales team member, sees this record of Mr. Dinesh, they simply know that yes, Mr. Dinesh is in discussion with other businesses, which include his competitors. And are there any stakeholders? Stakeholder means like, are there any people who could be the influence so as to make Mr. Dinesh buy this car, or who are the decisions maker out in there. Now we do have details tab. So in here I can fill in all the information like Mr. Dinesh wants to buy a car, industry to which he belongs, let's say accounting industry, annual revenue, let's say 120,000, number of employees, if you want to fill in SIC code. All these attributes are manageable. You can create new attributes, you can place new attributes, you can remove the existing ones if you wish. Now we do have the file system in Power Platform. That is, you can upload a large number of files to Dynamics CRM sales. Let's say when you are trying to sell a car, you want to upload Mr. Dinesh license, his address proof, his checkbook, etc. out in there. And to overcome the same, what exactly happens is Microsoft Dynamics CRM is well integrated with the SharePoint out in there. We have to enable that integration, and so everything which would be uploaded into Dynamics CRM, then it would be auto sent or it would be auto stored in SharePoint. Storing the SharePoint thing would help you so as to reduce your Dataverse prices, their cost, your storage cost, and much more out in there. Now this lead has been created and it's all good. You are really happy with the lead being created. Now there are two ways whether this lead can be disqualified, which means like Mr. Dinesh is not interested in buying a car from your company. So we simply can disqualify the same. And for that we have a disqualify button on the top. That is, we can simply disqualify it with the option out in there. Why we are disqualifying? Whether we have lost it, the data which has been provided to us by Mr. Dinesh was not correct, he is no longer interested, or he has just dropped the plan so as to buy a car from you. Or the other way could be qualified. The moment we will qualify it, what exactly happens is the information from this lead record would be used so as to create 3 subsequent records. One would be your opportunity, another would be your contact, and third would be your account out in there. Account with the company information, contact with the information which we have filled on the top, and the opportunity would be the one which would be used so as to track the sales further moving ahead. Now this is the opportunity record. If you can see on the top, see a contact record has been created. I'm just opening it on a next step, and an account record has been created. And see, all the information which you have filled on a lead record has been pre-filled in there. There are ways so as to change these mappings. There are ways so as to fill in more information if you wish to. Now buy a car was my topic, Mr. Dinesh. Here is its contact, the currency if you want to change, the budgeted amount for Mr. Dinesh, what would be the purchase process, by when he wants to purchase the car out in there, and what is the current situation if you want to fill in customer needs and propose solution, so that whenever your team, like the more information you are managing for the customer, the end user, the more comfortable will be the person who would be dealing with you, because they will always feel like, yes, he is someone who has got a solution to my problems out in there, to my requirement out in there. And see, from the lead record, this contact record has been created and it's loading for me. See all the information like contact information with the addresses which we filled in there. It's loading, all good. And this is the associated account record in there. So account record has got your website information, the address has been copied over, the postal code, the USA, who is the primary contact to this account, the Mr. Dinesh. And if you can see, the phone call activity which has been created on the lead has been copied over everywhere, because it's the feature of the application, so that you know from every perspective that is a phone call activity has been scheduled with Mr. Dinesh out in there. Now you can fill in more information based upon its account, asset locations, etc. out in for Mr. Dinesh specifically. Now let's move back to an opportunity record out in there. Now what would be the next step by the business? The next step by the business would be so as to associate the requested product by my Mr. Dinesh on this opportunity record. So as per the slide, what exactly happens is we created the lead, we qualified the lead. The lead could be qualified as yes or no. If we qualified it as yes, then an opportunity record was created out in there. And if it has been no, then that would have been deactivated. And in future, we could reactivate the same to meet our business expectations and the requirements out in there. Now, the lead flow is usually something very much similar for every organization, either yes or no. Whether you are gaining it or whether you are losing it, that is qualify it as yes or qualify it as no out in there. And that's the basic requirement for any of the businesses across the globe. Now we were on the opportunity record. So let's discuss about the opportunities in more brief out in there. So we are on opportunity record. On the opportunity record, there could be different scenarios. Let's discuss those scenarios first. Let's say this organization is selling the cars in multiple states in your country. Let's say it's selling in the northmost state, the southmost state, the east state, the west states of your country. Now what exactly will happen is, for every state there would be a different pricing, because usually there are different taxes, there are different rebates, discounts, and even the features of the car would also undergo a change, colors of the cars would undergo a change. And to overcome the same, what exactly happens is Dynamics CRM has a unique concept of price list out in there. So what exactly happens is, we have, let's say, 10 products, 10 types of cars which are being offered by the organization. So we would be maintaining this product in product catalog, and now we would be creating a price list which would act as a bridge between the product and the prices. That is, let's say for car 1, I want to sell it for $100,000 in US or in California, whereas $120,000 in Florida. So we would be creating price list based upon the state, whichever we would be selecting. So I have selected that particular price list which should be associated to Mr. Dinesh opportunity based upon his address, location, his need and requirement. And the moment we will associate the price list, what will happen is the products from that particular price list will start populating out in there when we click on add products. So based upon the price list we have chosen, these are all the products which are in that price list. These are the prices per unit and these are the quantities. Let's say we are selecting this particular product, airport, in there. The moment we will select this product, what will happen is this product would be added to your opportunity record and we would be able to see this particular product out in there. Let's say save to the opportunity record. Now the opportunity record would be refreshed with all these products which you have added in there. So you can see in here that is my products have been associated in here. Now there could be two scenarios. The first scenario could be the salesperson wants to estimate the revenue based upon the prices which have been filled in here. The other could be they want to manually fill in the information, and for that we have this particular attribute, user provided or system calculated the revenue. I am selecting system calculated as in there, and the moment we select the system calculated, see the estimated revenue information has been generated out in there. Now everything is good in here. Now the salesperson who has been discussing with you regarding selling the car, he simply said had a discussion that they would be offering you a 10% discount on top of whatever the price they would be populating. And so I have added a 10% discount in here, and I simply save this record. See, the 10% offering has been added, 10% discount has been added, and a new price has been calculated. Now it was all internally they were doing on their CRM system based upon all the discussions you were having with them. Now comes something wherein they want to share whatever the discussion they had with you, and for that a quote has to be created. For a quote can be created either directly clicking on the quote tab or quote navigation on your left navigation, or they can simply create an opportunity record by directly visiting the quote tab in here, and they have to click on plus quote and simply new quote record. The moment they will create on the same lines, the way we have qualified the lead record, it would be something similar. That is, a quote record would be created with pre-filled information for all the information. Now the quote record has been created successfully, and you can see all the information has been pre-populated in here, including the name of the customer, the currency, the price list, the opportunity through which this quote has been created, the potential customer. A customer is a type of a lookup which can refer to your contact as well as an account out in there. And the products, the most important part in there. If you wish to add more details, you can just simply swipe up to the details tab, wherein you would be able to track all the things like a note, a phone call activity, other things with this particular quote. Now usually what happens is when we are on a summary tab, now if we wish to add more products, we can add more products to this before sharing it with my customer out in there. And let's say we simply want to share this code. Definitely while we are sharing the code with the customer, we have to ensure that the code is non-editable, so that none of our teammates are able to change it, modify it during the time when the code is with the end user out in there. And to ensure the same, what exactly happens is we need to click on this activate the code button out in there. And for the same, Microsoft ensures that when you click on this activate code, this particular code record will become read-only out in there. That is, this will be read-only. See the read-only activated button out in there. Now if you wish to share this code with the user using export PDF, yes, there is a functionality. You can simply export the PDF on your local machine. You can send it over an email, and this PDF template can be modified, changed, configured based upon your business requirement. Now this is one of the new functionalities which has been appended by Microsoft, that is before downloading email or saving to Dynamics, the template vision or it's downloaded, it's a preview is being created. This is one of the new features, and even if you want to add a code summary, you can simply define which of the template you want to use it. The more number of templates you design, the more number of templates would be visible to you. See something very much ready to use code with the revision amount from this, the billing, and the way it is. You can save it, you can send an email, or you can even save it to your Dynamics account out in there. So this was all about creating a lead and then qualifying the same so as to create an opportunity out in there. Let's switch back to our slide and let's discuss few of the things in more detail. So till so far we have already discussed about the lead. Let's step over towards creating of an opportunity record. So what exactly happens is we all have seen how to create opportunities, and now this is the way in which Microsoft presentation of mine represents you. That is, what is the importance of creating an opportunity. we would be able to manage potential sales, we would be able to track it, the revenues, etc. using this opportunity record out in there. Now users can create manually, or it can be even created through automated applications. You can simply go and tab onto your opportunity record out in there. Usually what happens is the estimated revenue and estimated close date plays the most important role while we are working on the opportunity record, because based upon these we would be creating orders, we would be creating goals, matrices, we would be tracking who is doing what, how much has been done till so far. And that was all about your opportunity record out in there. Now usually what happens is when we create an opportunity, we see that the opportunity can be used so as to create a code. Now this code can be either successfully closed so as to win this opportunity, or even this code can be rejected by my end user, by the customer of ours, and then we might lose this opportunity. And when we are losing it, then again we have the different options available, like why we are losing it, like close and lost of opportunity. Let me show you the feature of close and lost opportunity out in. So on the opportunity record, you have like multiple options: close as won, close as lost, and recalculate opportunity. Close as lost will give you all those options the way we were having in past while we were working on a lead record, like why you are disqualifying it, whether you are lost it, lost to a customer, every option would be visible to you. And it's pretty enormous in our industry to track why we are losing that opportunity. Now if we know why we are losing that opportunity, definitely in future we can take up necessary actions on our products, on our services, on our ways in the stuff, and that will help the businesses so as to improvise much better. The more they have the knowledge, the more they are exposed, and they are more able to meet up the business requirement in future. See, cancel, why you are cancelling it, and if you are losing it to a customer or a competitor, then you can write the competitor name, you can description, all this information would be available in there. Next slide is all about again a request to you all so as to perform the lab exercises along with my course, and the same can be again accessed on the same, that is Microsoft, to perform the labs along with the course, that is Microsoft Learning MB 210. Now there are, in the previous blogs I have shown you a different, in here I am showing you a different, it's more or same. You can simply go to the instructions, the labs, and in here you would be able to find all those labs out in there which you have to perform, like lab 1, lab 2, lab 3, lab 4, lab 5, lab 6, and much more out in there. So we would be going towards the next session in here, wherein we would be exploring more about orders, codes, and invoices out in there. Towards our module 3, wherein we would be exploring about managing the orders and product catalogs in Dynamics 365 sales, and this is one of the most important aspect out in there. The agendas for this module would be two majorly, like one and the most important is how to manage and organize your products in Dynamics 365 sales, and definitely how to use these products which you have like provisioned, managed in Dynamics 365 over your sales orders in there. So usually what happens is there is always a confusion. Confusion is Dynamics CRM an inventory management system? No, a Dynamics CRM is not an inventory management system. You cannot manage product quantities, etc. in Dynamics CRM. But yes, it is a best tool so as to manage the pricing. That is, you can create products, you can associate these products to multiple price lists, you can manage their prices, you can manage their grouping, you can implement discount list, etc. out in there. And now I would be taking you ahead with the same out in there. So what exactly happens is, if you can recall, first and the most important thing which we have done during our module 1 was managing the currencies. That is, what happens is when you provision Dynamics CRM instance, you would be selecting a default currency. Usually most of the organization select USD, that is American dollar or US dollar, as their default currencies. Now this US dollar has been selected. but for sure organization would be selling the product across the globe in different prices or different regions. Few would be selling it in American dollar, few would be selling it in Australian dollar, or few would be selling it in Indian rupee out in there. And to overcome this challenge of managing the prices, we have the currency table wherein we divide or we calculate or we enter the value of the subsequent exchange rates out in there. Now, if you can just, I would request you all to go towards the module 1 and wherein I have explained you the currency structure out in there. Now, once the currency part has been done, then we would be stepping towards the product life cycle in there, the product management or creating of new products in Dynamics 365 sales. But prior to going towards the practical discussion, I would take you towards how and what is the product life cycle out in there. So usually what happens is whenever a business gets a requirement, that is they would be having a production unit, they would be having some seller units, they would be having some partnerships, all those products from different teams they would be creating into Dynamics CRM. Now while they are creating a product, they have to define its base unit, because let's say you are selling a stack of water bottles. So what is the small stack of water bottle? That is 4 bottles. What would be its group? The basic unit, a group, and most important thing is its cost out in there. Like we usually call it as primary unit group, and then using the primary unit group we define the other quantities for that product out in there. Once we create that product, we need to activate the same. Now usually what happens is after a small duration of time there could be some changes to it or there could be some revisions for that product. So in that case we revise it, we revert it, and at times whenever you want to copy the properties of the product for another product, then you can clone that product and even you can retire those products out in there. And to perform all these actions in Dynamics CRM, what exactly happens is you need to first and the most important log into your Dynamics CRM instance. Once you are in your Dynamics CRM instance, you need to click on the advanced settings out in there. The moment you will click on the advanced settings, the advanced setting module will open up. In there, you need to select the product catalog out in there, the product catalog. Now in the product catalog, you are seeing 4 major functionalities out in there. First and the most important thing is defining your unit groups. That is what it just moved out. So the first important thing is unit group. What exactly is a unit group? A unit group contains the base unit of a product in which it would be available. Like it could be a liter, it could be a list, and then we use this base unit so as to define the subsequent units of the product. Let's say a pack of 6, a pack of 12, something like that in there. A unit group is very much useful while you are defining a product. Once you have defined the unit group, then we define the product and its families. Now at times what exactly happens is in an organization you would be seeing a family of product, like let's say refrigerators, air conditioners, and in that you would be attaching multiple properties and multiple products, which means all those products would be having those properties associated to it. Now you have a unit group, you have a product, but you haven't mentioned about anything like the price, and that is mentioned under the price list module of Dynamics CRM, wherein we would be logically defining which product is to be sold for how much amount, for how much duration, and in what situation or in which region of the country. So let's say a user visits your organization who is willing to sell cars. So a person who is willing to buy the car could be belonging to, let's say, California state. So there could be a different price list for California. The salesperson would pick up that particular price list, and then only the products from California price list would be visible to them along with the prices to it. The benefit of this is, like, you can maintain multiple price lists, multiple prices in the organization, and the most important is you can have products very much same products being used in multiple price lists. Let's say on Christmas you want to offer some more discounts to your customers, so you can have a price list like Christmas discount price list. And at times we have all been seeing that, let's say I am buying a single machine, so I won't be getting a discount. But if I am buying a pack of 32 bottles or pack of 32 cars altogether, then I would be having discounts associated to it. And the same thing is managed in discount list out in there. Now this is all about our discussion. So what exactly is unit group? A unit group provides a unit of measurement for counting products and associating prices to it. The primary unit is the lowest possible unit, and then we can, like pack of 6 would be 6 bottles of primary unit, something like that. In there we mention it. So this presentation, this diagram is the best thing which we all use in our day-to-day lives. So what exactly happens is the primary unit would be 1 bottle. This 1 bottle, a pack of 6 bottles will make a small pack. Pack of 2 small packs will make a 12 pack. 2 use of 12 packs would make a case, and 12 cases will make a pallet out in there. And this is how we usually do in Power Platform Dynamics CRM. So let's move towards our unit group part. So first and most important, I have just clicked on my unit group. Let it load. So unit group would be having all the primary units to it, like let's say default unit. Now using this primary unit, what exactly happens is, if you wish, you can define another primary unit of your choice, let's say a liter, a kg, etc. out in there. Now while defining the unit, let's say I want to liter. Okay. So now my 1 liter has been defined in here, and this would be my unit group. Once the unit group has been created, then we can step up towards the next stage. Now my unit group has been created. The second step would be creating a product out in there. So let's step in towards creating a product. So in here we have 2 things, whether you want to create a product or whether you want to create a product family. Product family is nothing but associating like products with their like properties all together. It would be something like bundling your products together, like add a family, add a product, or add a bundle out in there. So let's add a product. So now I am going to add a product out in there. Let's say a water bottle, Okay, what would be its product ID? Let's say WA1. Parent product, I don't have. Valid, if you want to have a product specifically for specific durations of time, then you can valid from valid to. If you want to add some description, you can add a description to it. Now what is the unit group to it? So my unit group, I have created a liter. So default unit would be 1 because I have created a liter as 1. Okay. Now default price list I have not I've created yet. So now I am creating 2 is the default supported. Now my water bottle product is ready. Okay. Now next stage would be associating or creating its properties. If you wish to add more properties to the product, you may add it. Now if you want to define the price, the product relationship, like this product is associated to these products, linked products, you can create linked product to it. If you wish to add notes to it, you can add the notes to it. Now once the product has been created, the same product can be used by multiple price lists. And to that, we can simply go back and can create a price list out in there. So on the top, if you can see, you have a clone option, you have a revise option, you have a retire option, you have a convert to kit option. You have multiple options out in there. Usually we use a lot of times revise, clone and retire a lot. I need to explore this convert to kit option. Probably it's something new or I have never been exposed to it. Now my product has been created. If I wish to create more products in the same family, then I can create more unit groups or more things to it, and then I can associate the same. So my product is here. The second thing now I need to do is associate this product to a price list, because a business can sell this product into different businesses. So what I can say, like for this particular price list, I would be associating that product as a price list item, and I would be managing its cost as something like, let's say, $2 for this particular price list, so that whenever this product would be added on an opportunity, a $2 value would be added to it. So my price list item is open now. I would need to search for my product, that is water bottle. See what? So I associated my product of water bottle. By default, it filled in the unit of it. If I had other units, I have more units, I could have loaded more units like water bottle 1 unit, 6 bottles, 12 bottles, pack of 12, anything. If I want to offer discount list, discount on like buying in bulk, then I can associate the discount list to it. If I want to control the sale, that is, a person should be able to sell it only as whole number, fraction value should not be allowed, all those things I can do it. But most important is your pricing information, which we would be filling it now. So what would be its price? Let's say $2. Now the moment we say it, there are different options to it. Let's say currency amount, that is $2, percent of list, percent markup minus current cost. So what exactly happens is, these are the different calculations which are available. So the moment we will add this particular calculation, this particular type of thing, accordingly the standard cost would be added, standard thing would be added, and everything would need it to be mentioned in our like on our opportunity. So I am marking it as a currency product of $2. Let's save it. And that's how we create a product. We associate it to a primary unit and we associate it to a price list. If we wish, we can associate it to a discount list also, so that whenever a product would be sold, let's say 10 units, more than 10 units, then it would be associated to that part also. And this is all what we have done is, that is product families we just discussed about, like grouped products that are in the same category. It would be helping in bundling the products all together. Usually what happens is, we have different types of properties out in there. Bundling products, suggestion products. Let's say you are buying a bottle of cold drink. Along with it, I want you to suggest to buy a chips or a packet of Lay's. So all those options are available in Dynamics CRM. Then comes your associated price. We just did it, like how we can associate price, how we can associate the dates to a product, how we can associate bulk discounts to a product out in there. And that is all about your product catalog in Dynamics CRM. Product catalog, again, I would like to share with you, Dynamics CRM is not an inventory management system. It cannot manage like how many products are in there, like 100 products are there, 40 have been sold. All those things cannot be done in Dynamics CRM. But yes, pricing, structure, managing of the product properties, suggestions of the product, bundling of the product families, okay, all can be done in Dynamics CRM without any issues at all. Now let's step towards our order management, that is, which we all have been doing while we have been working on the opportunity record. So we all have seen that is, first we all create a lead. From lead, when we qualify it, an opportunity record is created. On the opportunity, we create a code, and using the code, we would be creating an order out in there. And once the order has been created, then we would be delivering that product or fulfilling that order so as to meet up the business expectations, and then we would be getting an invoice out of it. So let me take you towards the real-time example wherein I have created a code already with you all. Now I would be creating an order based upon the code in there. So let's move towards our real-time example or the screen in Dynamics CRM. So we are in here, we are on opportunity record. We have not closed it or cancelled it. Let's go towards our code. Let's open our quote record which we have created in past, and we would be converting this quote record to create an order out there. The order also have all those like functionalities, the way which we are having, that is you can send this order to your business team, you can fulfill the order, and once the order is being created, it would be also having the PDF in there. It would be also have the functionalities to send it over an email, and all those things are also there for an order record. So on the top, if you see, we have a button like a create an order. I simply click on this record so as to convert the quote record to my order record. We simply need to click it, and the moment we will click it, it will give us a pop-up. Since we are creating an order, so that means we need to create the opportunity, we need to close the opportunity either as won with a description, how much value, estimated revenues, everything out in there. So see, the pop-up has opened, status, reason, opportunity won, date, description, close the opportunity, and calculate actual revenue from the quote, etc. for the opportunity record, so that our goal tracking, our revenue estimations, all can be done in there. Now the order record has been created. This order, we can click on fulfill the order to send it over to our business teams or our production units. And once this order has been created, now mostly it is being handled by your accounting team, wherein they can simply create an invoice out of it, or they can like recalculate the order if the values have been changing or any operations has been done in there. So usually what happens is we simply click on create invoice so as to create an invoice, and again the invoice would be having an Excel PDF template options out in there, so that it can be exported, shared with businesses, and actions can be performed out in there. And the best part is we have filled in no values. All the values have been like pre-populated from our existing records which we have created in past. I would be creating another video so as to another tutorial for us to cover these things in more description, and then once the invoice has been created, we would be simply sending this invoice to our business, to our sales user, to the person, so that they can generate the invoice, they can get the money, and once they calculate the money has been received, usually account team marks the invoice as invoice paid, so that it closes the cycle, the entire cycle from lead creation till your invoice generation. And that was all about this tutorial. Please feel free to subscribe my channel. Please feel free to get in touch with me for any of your queries and concerns, and I would be as usual happy to assist you over any of your queries and concerns.